Welcome to Four Seas One Family Live. My name is James Thomas, and we're coming to you from Taipei, Taiwan. Today, I have a special guest in the house, and I've known her before she was even born. I've known her for such a long time. She calls me uncle. At least she doesn't call me abe, but I really appreciate that. Now, my special guest here is what you would call a third culture kid. And we're going to talk a little bit with her about how does it feel to be a third culture kid here in Taiwan. And also, she's very, very special. I really would like to welcome. How you doing, Austina? How you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Uncle James?
Oh, goodness. Now you're going to call me Uncle James. At least you didn't call me, like I said, Abe. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to join us here. Well, I'm going to ask you a few questions, okay? And basically, we'll talk about how does it feel to be a third culture kid.
Okay.
And also, as happened to be a third culture African American child, which can be quite unique here in Taiwan. Okay. Now, of course, we're going to do this all in English. We can, of course, do it in Chinese, but my Chinese cannot compare to yours, of course. But okay, tell everybody how old you are.
I'm 14 years old.
14 years old. Wow, you feel old, right?
Yes.
But okay, well, let's talk a little bit about how does it feel to be an African American here in Taiwan and growing up as a third culture kid. Okay, now your dad and I are friends for a long time, and your dad went to college here in Taiwan and fluent in quite a few languages. I can say that for real. Yeah, quite a few, right? What language do you speak at home? What language do you speak at home most of the time?
English and Chinese.
What's the percentage of that?
Maybe 75 and 25.
75 and 25.
Yes.
75% what?
Chinese.
Mandarin, right?
Yeah, Mandarin more.
Right. And you also speak Taiwanese? Yeah?
When I'm in my grandma's house.
Really?
Yeah.
How would you consider how good is your Taiwanese right now at this point? 差不多.
Maybe a C.
A C. Well, that's a lot better than mine.
Yeah.
Okay. Once again, how old are you?
14.
14 years old. Now, let's talk a little bit because you do a lot of things, right? And you're a swimmer,
Yes.
right? Right. How's that coming along?
It's pretty good. Yeah.
What is that supposed to be? Pretty good. Yeah. What is training hard or what? Tell me about training here in Taiwan.
The training here?
Yeah.
Like, we just had a race, and it went pretty well. I got second place. Yeah.
Do you find that because you're African American, people probably assume that because you're African American, or
I should swim faster or
yeah,
something?
you should. Yeah, like all black people good at basketball, which is not my case.
Yeah, not really.
How do you handle those type of situations when they ask you questions or they probably assume runway that you're good at a sport or something like that? I
just showed them what I can do.
You just show them by your actions, right?
Yeah.
Do you feel any pressure or anything like that sometimes?
Sometimes.
In what way?
In what way?
Yeah.
Like, maybe they'll feel that, you're American, so your English might have to be very good, or they'll expect more higher. Than what usually people will do. Yeah.
How good is your math? I ask that question. Yeah, how's that going? Is that going well or what? No comment. No comment on that. Okay, let's keep moving. What kind of questions do you get from classmates when they ask you, questions? Do they ask you questions much about where you're from or certain habits, or what kind of questions do you get from your classmates? I'm sure quite a few do have questions, right?
They'll ask like, oh, is your hair curly or something?
I get the same question all the time too. Is my hair curly? What other type of questions do you get sometimes?
Like you just said, do you speak English at home or like that kind of questions?
Wow. Okay, that's quite normal.
Yeah.
How about like food and music, anything like that?
Oh yeah, they'll ask me like, oh, if you like if you eat American food, is it only French fries and hamburgers?
Right, the delicious junk food stuff,
Yes.
right? And what kind of answers do you get? How do you?
I said no.
That's it.
Yeah.
No, you seem to be, for 14 years old, quite a confident person. Like really confident. Where does that come from? Where you get all this confidence from? And I can guess right now where that comes from.
Maybe my dad. I don't know.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's take a peek and let's talk a little bit about your dad. Describe your dad for me, okay? Because he's one of those personalities that every so often you see him on television sometimes.
Yeah.
And describe your dad.
My dad. He's like very interesting person.
In what way? He's interesting in what way?
In what way?
Yeah.
He talks a lot.
He talks a lot. Ooh, that's being very conservative there. He talks a lot. Ooh. What does he talk? What does he? Yeah, well, what? Go ahead. Remember, don't put your foot in your mouth, okay? Don't say anything that you will later regret. No. What do you mean he talks a lot?
Like he's very funny and makes people feel happy, like that kind of ways. So I learned some tips.
What kind of tips do you learn from your dad?
Like,
because you have a lot of uncles,
Yeah.
I'm one of them. We got your back. What kind of tips you learn from dad?
what kind of tips? Like
Is there an echo in here? Go ahead.
Uncle James.
Oh, sorry. What kind of tips then? Go ahead.
Like he'll think that if you meet somebody, you have to be polite and you can talk to them and then make friends, and it's better to make a friend than enemy, so just make friends.
Right. Does your dad teach you how to fight?
To
I just have to say that.
defend ourselves.
Right, to defend yourself.
Yeah.
And the second question is, of course, just describe your mom, okay? Because we all know that Taiwanese moms are very strict, right?
Yeah,
is that true?
very strict.
Oh my goodness, be careful, girl. Please don't get. Yeah, I'm just joking, but go ahead, talk a little bit about mom.
Maybe like she hopes the best for me. Yeah. She wants to like be like I have to be at a certain grade and my swimming have to be at a certain level, like that kind of stuff. Yeah.
So would you call that pressure or just making moms happy?
Sometimes it's a pressure.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about this pressure then. Because the whole stereotype is like the Taiwanese mom is really pushy and they want you to obtain certain goals, which may not be a bad thing, but what? We got some questions coming here, and some people said that the sound is quite low, so let me see if I can pump that up and not blow our ears out. Okay, here we go. Yep, back to you.
Okay.
Yep, go ahead.
Like the pressure thing?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's because sometimes she's kind of like she's too eager of me getting higher and higher.
What do you mean higher? What grades you mean or what?
Higher grades and higher level, that kind of stuff.
So she's in her good heart wants to see you do your best, and sometimes it can be, it can be quite
like be proud of your child, like that
right,
kind of stuff.
right.
Yeah.
Wow, and I know she's proud of you. I'm proud of you. Like I said, I knew you before you were born, and stuff like that. But let's talk a little bit down to how you make friends? Because you said your dad is teaching you how to, make friends and,
Yes.
why make enemies, stuff like that. Do you see any type of things that may get in your way that makes it hard for you to make friends or anything like that? Or is there anything like that gets in your way, you feel, besides looking different from everybody? Because when you speak Mandarin, nobody can tell the difference. Is there any type of things you find that you have to work harder than maybe most Taiwanese students or people your age?
Not really, actually. Because I think the main thing is about your attitude and all that. Because if you're nice, people will like you no matter what.
That's not always true, though.
Well,
that's not always true, though.
Not always true, but for kids, basically, yeah.
Okay. Well, how about this then? When you you live most of your time here in Taiwan.
Yes.
Right. And how often do you get to go back in the States? How about that? How
Once
often?
a year.
Once a year.
Yeah.
Really, your dad is flying all over the world, and you go back once a year. Okay.
Summer vacation.
Summer vacation.
Yeah,
Right.
2 months.
2 months. Now, tell me, how is it when how do you feel when you go back? Of course, you don't remember the first time you went back to the States because you're just 2 years old or something like that, very young.
Yeah.
How do you, what is your feeling when you land back in the United States in a different culture? Do you feel that you're missing something, or do you feel that there's a lot to catch up on because you have to talk to
It's a lot to catch up on.
For example, give me an example then. What kind of things did you feel that it may be?
It's kind of not. It's insecure actually because.
What do you mean insecure? In what way? Now remember, you're only 14 years old, and you're insecure.
Because I fly alone.
Oh, I see.
Only me, myself, and I.
Don't worry, we got people watching you.
Yeah.
you got stewardess friends that's watching you. But what do you mean? What type of things you feel you have to catch up on? The vocabulary, the television shows, the music, the local friends.
Yeah, the culture. Sometimes like people will say, "Oh, do you know this singer?" And I only know the ones that are
popular here.
Popular in Asia, basically, but not in America. And there's like new words coming out, but I can't understand it.
Can you give me an example then of this new vocabulary? Sometimes like of something in the past that happened to you, like they'll say something to you, but you don't quite understand. Do you directly say, "What does that mean?" or explain it to me? How do you deal with that? Or do you just let it go by and hope you pick it up on the way?
I think I will just. Sometimes it feels like it's old English or something.
What? Really? Old English?
I mean, like, how do you say this? Like,
Don't worry, you can drop some Mandarin in the show. It's okay.
It's
okay.
like when you're listening to 成语,
成语,
like that kind of stuff, because
proverbs
you can't
and stuff
understand.
like.
But you can't understand the word, but you can know it.
That's by the content, right?
Yeah, by the content and sentence, and you can kind of relate to it, but it's new to you. Yeah.
Can you give me an example? Can you let's quickly come up with an example? Ooh, I'm getting you to think now. Don't strain your brain. Can you come up with an example? Music, terms, new words, vocabulary, television show, maybe even food. I don't know.
Mm.
比较流行的方面. Like what? Ooh, that's a hard question, huh?
Yeah.
It could be crazy. Well, let's back up a little bit then.
Okay.
Do people sometimes back in the States ask you to explain more about Taiwan? How do you go about dealing with that? And what do you say more? You're smiling. No, because you're smiling. Like, what kind of things do you just say to them to get them to shut up? I don't know.
Because some people don't even know where Taiwan is.
They get it confused with Thailand, right?
Yeah.
How do you deal with that?
Even some like even some Asians will say, "Oh, Taiwan. So you speak Mandarin, right?" And they speak Cantonese to me.
广东, Oh, these like,
Yeah, what? I'm shocked.
Well, how about this then? How about this? Have you ever been in a situation in the States where there are people speaking Mandarin around you, but they have no idea that you understand everything they're saying to them? And you ever, or everything that's being said around you. Have you ever been in a situation where you would just respond to them or say something to them in Mandarin that would like shock them, going crazy?
Oh yeah.
Please tell us a story about this, because I really like doing this myself. When I go back to the States and I'm listening, then I will, especially when they say something stupid, people are just people, and I just say to knock. Can you give me an example of what you've
like when I was in the airport and there was some just Mandarin speaking people. They were just talking, and I was on the phone.
On the phone?
Yeah.
Oh, but you were by yourself? Were you by yourself?
With my grandma.
Okay, American grandma.
Yeah, American grandma, and I was on the phone talking to my mom or my dad in Mandarin, and I was just speaking Mandarin like regularly.
And they looked at you like you were some kind of alien, right?
Yeah, and they were so shocked. And then when I hang up the phone and I said, and then they just said that, "Wow, you speak Mandarin so well."
You should.
Yeah. I said I'm. Yeah, that's my language.
That's
it.
It.
And then we start talking.
What do you consider your
first language?
Yeah. How do you got another power too. Now you can read people's minds. Now this is getting creepy. What do you consider your first language? Probably should be Mandarin.
Maybe Mandarin, but actually the first word I said, I think it was in English.
Yeah, what was that? Mama? No. That's a universal language. Like, did your mom tell you what was the first?
I think it was Peter or something.
Now I'm angry.
Name.
She didn't say my name first. Well, it's talking. Okay, but it gets quite interesting. Do you speak Mandarin to your dad?
Yes.
Interesting. That must be a shocker when you're outside and speaking Mandarin to your dad. That must be like that probably freaks people out. That's weird.
They're more shocked that he speaks Mandarin.
Yeah. Have you ever encountered other third culture kids here in Taiwan? You don't know many other third culture kids? Really?
Many.
Well, you guys need to start a union and get together and talk about your, TKD's special powers or something like that, because you all got special powers and stuff like that. Well, one more time. This is a question that's probably going really deep into the rabbit hole. And one more time, do you ever wonder then about because you're being a African American, half and Taiwanese here in Taiwan, have you ever thought about why are things like this, or think about your situation, how would it be like in the future? Have you ever went deep into in English we say rabbit hole about that? You ever take any time to think about that?
Well, like in history class, they'll say that some parts of American history, and I'll just think about it, not just reading the book, not just reading the history book. I'll think more like, because I know the history more than most Taiwanese kids.
And that's primarily because of Dad, right?
Yeah.
And how about...
And I should know because it's also
part of
my history culture, yeah.
Yeah, I can be honest with you. A lot of things that I learned in the States, I later found out in history was not true.
Yeah, it was not true.
I mean, I personally found out. I mean, up until I was about 7th grader, I opened up my eyes and like, well, this doesn't really happen. Or you learn things about 美国宪法, the Constitution, and it can be quite shocking when you
found out it wasn't.
In English, we say take the red pill, but I'll tell you what that means later.
Okay.
but it could become quite shocking. It's kind of like wakes you up, you know. I wonder if any questions are coming in right now here. I'll look on the board here. I see we got James Dean on here. We got Mr. Yang Yifeng. He's on. He's a teacher here. We got Thomas here. Okay, if you guys have any questions, real quick, you can put it up here on the board, and I'll bring it in. Okay. Well, let me have another question for you. How good is your English?
My English.
I mean, school English, because
School English.
yeah, because school English is a whole different story than when you.
It's a different story.
In what way? In what way? Because I teach, and the kids, they really get some English homework, or I even look at it and say, what in the? But
it's confusing sometimes.
Yeah.
About the grammar thing,
Really?
because they try to put English into Chinese and to translate it and use a lot of weird, like, professional words.
Words that probably don't relate to people your age. Remember, maybe one of your teachers be watching this. I'm not going to be responsible for that. I'll let your father deal with that. But
okay.
But it can be quite tiring.
Yeah.
Because
like you're memorizing.
Yeah.
Another language.
Okay, let's just talk more about that. Do you find yourself just memorizing things just to pass tests?
Yeah.
Give an example of that then.
Like in English?
Sure. The way you just say remember, and you forget about it. About how long does it take you to forget about things?
It's pretty fast, actually. Yeah, it's really fast. Like I can memorize it like very quickly, but in 2 days.
2 days.
Yeah, after the test though.
Remember, your mother's going to be listening to this. I don't want to get in trouble because of this, but yeah, go ahead. After 2 days,
2 days after the test, I might wonder, wait, is this supposed to go in front of this, or like things like that?
Oh goodness. Well, I really do appreciate you taking the time. I mean, you had to swim all day. You just came out of a swimming class to be here in my little studio here, and I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to spend time with your Uncle James here. And anything you would like to say before we say goodbye to everybody? Anything you want to say about being a third culture kid that people probably should know? Or, I mean, you're human.
Yeah.
What would you tell these people?
Not all African Americans are good at sports.
Oops, drop the ball, drop the mic. Boom. Well, look, thank you very much for being here, and I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to be with us.
Thank you, too.
Okay, give me 5. No. Okay, well, look, everybody, thank you very much for taking the time out of your day to join us here at 4 Seas, 1 Family Live. This has been very impromptu, and we didn't actually post it beforehand, but this will be on the 4 Seas, 1 Family YouTube page. And once again, I'd like to thank my wonderful guests here.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us here at 4 Seas, 1 Family. And you, everybody out there, take care. Bye-bye. Just say goodbye to everybody. Bye-bye. 再见.